Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 7 mistakes buyers should avoid when making an offer on a home. So if you're a first-time home buyer interested in making an offer on a house, or maybe you're one of our clients that I'm sending this video to, I want to discuss with you the 7 mistakes you want to avoid when it comes to making that offer, because this is one of the most critical stages in the home buying process, right? You've kind of gone through everything. You've worked with the lender, you've met with a real estate agent, you've done all the things that you need to do. Now you found a house and you want to make an offer. It's really important that when we do that, we give ourselves the best possible opportunities to be able to make a successful offer. Let's jump in, okay? So 7 mistakes buyers make when making an offer on a house. So making an offer on a home is and can be one of the most nerve-wracking parts of this process, right? You like the house, you send the offer, you have to wait. There's this delay of time to hear back from if they're going to accept your offer or not. The stakes are high, right? One misstep can cost you your dream home or even leave thousands of dollars on the table. And so whether you're a first-time home buyer or you've been through this before, the negotiation process is filled with hidden pitfalls that can derail even the most prepared buyers. And so let's jump in and let's talk about the first mistake. Now, hopefully, if you are watching this video and you're one of my clients, you've already gotten pre-approved. If you're catching me on YouTube because you're just, listening to my channel, then you want to make sure that you don't make the biggest mistake of all of them, which is not getting pre-approved first. I promise you, I've been doing this for a decade. This is the biggest one because you start your home search and you haven't secured that mortgage pre-approval. Sellers are not going to take your offer seriously. You're going to potentially miss out, and you're going to potentially fall in love with houses that you may not even qualify for. And so getting pre-approved shows that you're serious. It speeds up the closing and it protects your position. And so the other thing that you need to understand when it comes to the pre-approval is that there is a difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. A pre-qualification is simply an estimate based on verbal or written information that you've provided, whereas a pre-approval is actually going to involve the lender pulling your credit, reviewing your income documentation, your asset documentation, your credit report, all of those types of things. And so you definitely want to make sure that you have a pre-approval and not a pre-qualification, because a pre-qualification is really honestly not very good. And so, yeah, it's going to show you're serious, that you've done your homework, that you've taken the effort to make sure that you can apply and be approved for this loan that you are, or for this home that you are now making an offer for. It's also going to speed up the process, right? Because you've already provided a lot of the documents. You don't have to go get pre-approved, wait on that while you're trying to make this offer and hopefully getting it accepted. And you'll know exactly what you can afford, right? It protects you financially before you fall in love. And so the big key takeaway on mistake number 1 is always get pre-approved before you even make an offer. It's going to make everything else go that much smoother. Now, mistake number 2, this is another big one, right? And it's ignoring the market. Mistake number 2 is ignoring the market. Too many buyers treat their offer price like it's pulled from thin air based on gut feeling, wishful thinking, or what they hope to pay. And this approach is a recipe for disappointment. Your offer needs to be grounded in real market data, not emotions or guesswork. Successful buyers let the numbers guide their strategy. And that's so true. And we're going to talk about this in a second. Understanding what market you're in and what kind of market you're in is going to play a huge role in helping you know how to position your offer. And even within this video, which mistakes you need to watch out for, because some of these mistakes are really important if you're in a buyer's market but not a seller's market, and vice versa. So you need to know these types of things. And so now here's the deal. What is a buyer's market? A buyer's market means that there are more homes available than buyers. I'm filming this video in 2025, at the end of 2025. It's very much a buyer's market in most of the markets across the United States. Properties are going to sit longer on the market, which is going to give you more room to negotiate on price. It's also going to give you more room to negotiate on concessions. So it is way easier now than at any point in the last 10 years since I've been doing loans to get the seller to cover most, if not all, of your closing costs, right? And if you don't know that you can do that, you can. I got videos on it on the channel. You can go check it out. You can get a lot of money from the seller in this market because it is a buyer's market in most of the places in the US. And with a buyer's market, you're going to have room for your contingencies. You're going to have room for asking for concessions. You're going to have room for negotiating on the purchase price, right? Most of the time in a buyer's market, rather, you're going to have a lot more room room and ability to negotiate. And so the key takeaway on this mistake is let the market guide your strategy, not emotions or guesswork. Data-driven offers will win in any market. And so understanding the market, letting the market determine what the offer should be, going to be your best course of action. Mistake number three, lowballing the seller, okay? Especially in a seller's market, but even in a buyer's market. This is the number one thing that I see when it comes to people that are wanting to buy a home and wanting to make offers, especially if their realtor doesn't tell them, hey, you really shouldn't do that, or maybe they just don't listen. Lowballing is going to get you not in a house. You're not going to be able to buy a house if you lowball. So there's a common misconception that starting with an extremely low offer gives you room to negotiate up. And while I agree that, you don't have to come in with your best offer, especially in a buyer's market, but you don't want to make an offer that's so offensive that they're not even going to respond. And so, also remember, buying a house is not the same as buying a car. There is no car salesman on the other end wanting to haggle with you. Homes are important and special to people, right? It's a dangerous strategy in real estate. Here's what actually happens. Sellers often reject lowball offers immediately without countering, or worse, they remember you as the buyer who insulted them, making future negotiations much harder. And that's because they too ignore mistake number 7. So stay tuned to hear mistake number 7. But when you submit an offer that's significantly below market value without justification, you damage your credibility. Even if you come back later with a reasonable offer, the seller may not take you seriously. They may assume you're not a genuine buyer, or you'll continue to nickel and dime them throughout the entire process. And so the smarter approach to getting the deal done is to research thoroughly, base your offer, like we just talked about, on the comparable sales and the actual market data, not arbitrary numbers, not what you can afford, right? If a home is worth something, but you can't afford it at that price, let's say the home is $350, but your max is $300, if the home's worth $350, that's a lowball offer, right? And so you're going to frustrate yourself and the seller. You probably just need to adjust your search down to the level or price range that you can afford. If you do want to be more aggressive in the offers that you're making, then you want to target longer listings, right? You want to target, like we talked about even before, the listings that have been on the market for 6 months, a year. You're going to be able to negotiate with those folks more aggressively, unless the reason they're sitting on the market is because they refuse to negotiate, which you'll figure that out pretty soon. If you want a deal, look for homes that have been on the market longer, as those sellers tend to be more motivated. And then you want to be respectful, right? Make offers that show you're serious and reasonable, even if it is slightly below asking. And so a lowball offer doesn't give you negotiating room. It shuts down the conversations before it can even start. And so smart buyers make data-backed offers that sellers actually want to work with. Again, if you're working with a real estate agent, they should be able to help you through these things. If you have been making offers on houses for 3 months and you're not winning any of them, it's probably because you aren't making strong offers. And so don't insult the seller. Key takeaway with the lowball offer: make smart, data-backed decisions that get you to the negotiating table. All right. Mistake number 4. This is a long one. It's so much it didn't even fit on the screen. Thinking the highest priced always wins. Now, every seller wants to get the most that they can for their property, but every seller also has other things that are important to them. And so there are some other things that I'm actually not going to go into all of these, because some of these are true, some of them are not. We're in a buyer's market right now. So honestly, a lot of these things are not a factor, but they become a factor in markets where there's a lot of competition. And so, like, if you have an FHA loan or a VA loan, and I strongly disagree with this, but this is just the reality of what happens to people sometimes. We do our best as the lender, call the listing agent, let the seller know, hey, these clients are strong. But sometimes they'll look at those loan programs and they'll give them less credence. So if they have a strong conventional offer and an FHA loan at the same time, they may choose the conventional loan. Again, obviously cash offers are king, but again, this is really relevant in very, very competitive markets, not so much in markets that aren't competitive like the ones we're seeing now. Down payment strength is another one. But here's some of the ones that are relevant no matter what. Closing timeline. A person, if the seller is maybe they've relocated and they're not even living in the house anymore, someone that can close faster rather than later, gonna be great. Someone that, now here's some stuff that's not even on the list. If your lender reaches out and discusses your offer with the listing agent directly to make them feel comfortable about communication and the type of clients you are, that's gonna help. But closing timelines can definitely make a big difference. contingencies too, right? And so if you ask, if an offer comes in, and again, this is more of one of those things that's, competitive market, an offer that waives the appraisal or gives a $10,000 appraisal gap contingency, going to get looked at a little bit harder than offers that don't. And so there are things other than price that are relevant. Those things can also, like I said, be communication, reputation of lender. If you've got a pre-approval with one of the large banks that's kind of known for not really having a personal touch or caring and kind of dragging things on, then you're going to have a harder time getting your offer accepted when someone local that they know, and they know the lender and they know the agent that they're working with, they know all these things, and the offers are the same or maybe even slightly worse. A lot of times they're going to pick the one that they know. Okay. Mistake number 5, let's jump in. Mistake number 5, being inflexible with terms. Okay. So many buyers make the mistake of rigidly insisting on their own timeline and terms without considering works best for the seller. And again, if you're in a buyer's market, you've got a lot more freedom to be demanding, right? But the reality is sellers do value flexibility and convenient as much, sometimes, or even more than the price. And so matching their timeline is critical. If they're selling their home to buy another one, you want to be able to match the timeline. So if they're closing in 30 days, you want to be able to close right around the time they're closing so that the funds from their closing can be used on their next purchase, right? If they need 60 days, can you wait 60 days, or do you have to move in the next 21 or 30 days, right? These things become a factor. Even offering a rent back. So let's say that the seller will close with you in 30 days, but maybe they're going to need an extra 10 days to move or pack or do whatever. Being able to give them some breathing room will help. And then just being accommodating, right? Showing a willingness to work with their needs and different things will often help you. Small concessions, not possessions, on your part can often tip the scales in your favor. And so flexibility, be flexible at where you can. And if you can't be flexible in an area, then it is what it is. But you always have to ask yourself when you're making offers, is being flexible here worth me losing the home over, right? Like if I'm not flexible about this, am I okay if they choose to not pick my offer or walk away or whatever? So just things to think about. Number 6, this is again one of those things that it really, the text is all messed up there, but it really makes the difference in really competitive markets. But as a buyer, you really need to weigh waiving your protections and contingencies before doing them. And so in hot markets, buyers are often pressured to waive contingencies to make offers more competitive. While this strategy can work, removing protections without fully understanding the risks is dangerous. You could end up legally obligated to buy a home with serious problems or forced to pay thousands more than you budgeted if the appraisal comes in low. So if you waive your appraisal contingency and the appraisal comes in $50,000 low or whatever you agreed to, you could be on the hook for that amount. And so you really, especially appraisals, they're there for a reason, right? They're there for a reason. If you're a cash buyer, you're probably not watching this video. That would be the only time where these things, maybe don't matter. Inspection contingencies, these allow you to negotiate repairs or look and check for repairs. It's typically built into every contract. If you waive this, you could absolutely put yourself on the hook to purchase a home that has major issues that would have come up during this process that would potentially, now you may not even want to buy the home anymore, right? And so these are things that need to be weighed. And then even your financing contingency, which I don't see this one a lot, but the financing contingency basically states that you can back out of a loan if your loan falls through without losing your escrow money, right? An inspection contingency allows you to back out of the home for any reason during the inspection period, and an appraisal contingency allows you to back out of the loan, out of buying the house, if the appraisal comes in low and the seller doesn't, go down to the. Actually, you can walk away either way, but the financing contingency, yeah, I mean, if your loan were to somehow get denied, you would forfeit your deposit, and you could even be sued for breach of contract because you waived the financing contingency, which basically means you're willing to pay cash for it. So you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. Other better alternatives to things like this would be shorting the inspection period, or offering just shortening timelines, or offering limited appraisal gap coverage. So like if you love the house and you're willing to pay an extra $5,000 or $10,000 over appraised value, that would be better than outright complete waival of the appraisal contingency. Anywho, that's mistake number 6, really relevant for markets that are hot, not super relevant for markets that are not, which is most of the markets in the US right now as I'm filming this. Now, number 7 is the most important one, and it's the one that universally almost all people violate. Mistake number 7 is letting your emotions drive the process. This is a huge one. Buying a home is one of the most emotional decisions you'll ever make. And that's exactly the problem. While it's natural to feel anxious or excited or disappointed during negotiations, the best negotiators stay calm and treat offers like business transactions and not personal battles. When emotions take over, you can make costly mistakes that haunt you for years. This is why, too, guys, you want to ensure that you are working with a professional, right? You're working with a professional real estate agent who will help you keep your emotions out of it and just keep it on the, hey, this is what we're doing. It's not personal, right? Sometimes your realtor is not that, and they will contribute to the emotional, letting the emotions get into the process. And so we want to avoid that, and you want to work with professionals that will help you avoid that. The most successful buyers are the ones that are going to be able to separate their feelings from the transaction, from the negotiations, from the strategy. They understand that a counteroffer isn't personal, right? It's not an insult. That walking away from a bad deal is smart. It doesn't mean you failed. And that patience often pays better dividends than desperation. And so let's talk about some common emotional mistakes to avoid when making an offer on a home. Number 1, we just talked about it. Don't take counter offers personally. This is buyers are sellers, right? But I'm talking to you buyers today. Sellers counter everyone. It's not about you. Don't let pride stop you from continuing negotiations when a deal is possible. Number 2, don't fall too hard too fast, right? We kind of know this. This is life advice, right? Don't tell yourself, this is my house and I have to buy this house, right? And you just fall in love with this house, because what happens is if it ends up not being that house, then you're going to be very emotionally volatile. You're not going to want to continue on. And the reality is there are tons of houses out there, right? There are a ton of houses out there. Sometimes you have to wait, but the right one always comes around. And the other thing is when you stop being objective, it puts you in a place where when you want it too bad, you're going to make negotiating mistakes. You're going to pay more than you were really comfortable paying. You're going to overlook things that you probably wouldn't want to overlook in any other situation. So you need to keep yourself grounded. Number 3, walking away too fast. Don't storm off because you're offended by a counteroffer. Step back, analyze the numbers objectively, talk with your real estate agent if it's actually fair or makes sense, and respond strategically. Where I often see this happen is people go in and they make an offer that's $20,000, $30,000 less, and they get mad when the seller counters back at the full price, like, oh, well, they just don't want to negotiate. But it's a negotiation. That what they're telling you in that counteroffer is they don't really have a lot of wiggle room. So take it as it is and either lower your purchase price so that you can make offers on homes that are actually in your budget, or increase your purchase price, right? Number 4, overpaying in desperation. So, and we saw this a lot in 2021, 2020, 2022. Overpaying in desperation. So after losing multiple offers, buyers often overpay dramatically on the next one. Don't let frustration cloud your judgment. Stick to the value, stick to what you've discussed, stick to your budgets. Let's talk about how to stay grounded during negotiations. So the thing is, you want to set clear limits beforehand, knowing your maximum price and terms before you fall in love. Trust your agent's experience, right? They've negotiated hopefully hundreds of deals without emotional attachment. Trust their experience. Take a 24-hour pause. It's always great, guys, to sleep on big decisions when possible, right? Don't make the decision flippantly. Don't make it impulsively. Sleep on big decisions. Number 4, there's always another house. This mindset gives you negotiating power, right? If you don't absolutely have to have every house you're making an offer on, it's going to allow you to be more level-headed and giving you negotiating power. And then the last one, focus on facts, not feelings. Does this make financial sense? Can I afford it? Or what they asking, is it way out of line, right? Are they from Pluto? Like, are they absolutely out of their mind with what they're asking for? Or is what they're countering back actually reasonable, right? And can I afford it? That's what matters at the end of the day. So that was the 7 mistakes. We got a little wonky on the PowerPoint here, but your path to a winning offer is getting pre-approved, number 1, researching the market, number 2, making smart offers, number 3, number 4, strengthening your terms, remembering that price isn't everything, terms matter as well. Number 5, be flexible, accommodate the seller and their needs to make your offer stand out. Number 6, protect yourself by understanding the risks before waiving any contingencies. And then number 7, keep your emotions in check. Stay calm and strategic and negotiate like a professional. So that's been the 7 mistakes to avoid when you're making an offer on a home. If you have any questions about this or you'd like to work with us, you can go to workwithchanning.com. It's also linked in the description. Set up a time to talk with me, and I'm happy to help you understand offers, picking realtors, talking through loan programs, whatever it is that you need to make this process as easy and as successful for you as it can be. Workwithchanning.com. I'd love to help you.